Yeah, and so he's going to be Giannis is going to be extension eligible here in the next few weeks, but it's unlikely that he's going to sign this extension. I mean, number one, this is superstars they want to have leverage. You want to have options. You never know. I mean, what if this whole thing blows up? If Drew Holiday gets hurt, I don't think they have enough, right? If Chris Middleton is hurt again, I don't think they have enough. And you take a look, and Giannis has 2 years left on his contract before a player option ahead of the 25-26 season. And it's crazy to think this, guys, but let me know what you think. I mean, if things start falling apart for the Bucks, would they maybe be looking to move Giannis on their own, like next summer, whether he asked or not? Like, if you feel like, okay, we don't have the tools in our tool chest, but how is he going to stick around for a rebuild? You know what I mean? He's going to be a free agent after the 24-25 season. And we just talked about how old this team is already. We're talking another year. You can't lose him for nothing if you're Milwaukee. But you entertain the idea at all?
Everything we've seen historically suggests that when you have that type of player, it doesn't matter if the messaging is he could leave, doesn't matter if there's a pretty good chance that he's gone. You keep him and try to make it work and figure out the rest later. And if he leaves, he leaves. Like, you're not going to get another Giannis. That's just not realistic. He's a generational type of talent. And when you have him, you just try to make it work. And so I think they have, and look, we'd be talking totally differently about the Bucks if the playoffs had gone differently. Like, they had a great regular season. Their defense was amazing. They were near the top of the league all year long in every stat that usually matters. And so, yes, and part of the reason they lost was because Giannis got hurt during that series and missed time and came back and probably wasn't at 100%. So the discussion would be totally different. And maybe Giannis's thought process would be totally different. But that did happen. And that's the type of loss that has just ramifications. And clearly it's impacted the way he's thinking going forward. And they just have work. They have to prove it. And they have to prove it with a new coach, a new staff. They have to prove it to Giannis that they're on the right path, because they have been. And they've been a factor in the East in the NBA for years now. But you can see with this roster just where things could go wrong, and I think that's probably what Giannis is thinking about when he's making these comments.
I just don't know how they improve. That's the biggest part, right? Like, where do they improve aside from health? That, like, there's not a lot of room for internal improvement outside of Chris Middleton's healthy, Drew Holiday's healthy, Giannis is healthy. And I think that, when you're looking at a team that, again, is getting older, that's concerning, that there is no guy who might just turn it on and contribute. This has been the secret to the Miami Heat and their continued success. They always find these guys and they figure it out. And maybe, Adrian Griffin and a new coaching staff, maybe they're going to be better. I don't know.
And part of this, I feel like it's the way they've kind of gone about building the roster. It feels similar to the way the Utah Jazz did it. And that may sound weird, but just hear me out. When Rudy Gobert was in Utah, they found a market inefficiency by going after guys who couldn't necessarily stay in front of their man. Right. And so that allowed them to put together a roster of guys who could all run a pick and roll, who could all shoot, who could all do things. And they just relied on Rudy Gobert to just swat away everything. And the Bucks, their perimeter defenders outside of Drew Holiday just aren't great at staying in front of their man. And that's been okay during the regular season because Giannis and Brook Lopez are the best shot blocking rim deterrent duo in the entire league. And they built a system to maximize that. But I think at the end of the day, they have a lot of guys who aren't great at guarding their own man and keeping guys in front of them. And that has been a huge issue. They're not super switchable. And maybe that changes with the new coaching staff. But I just have questions about the guys on the perimeter there. the athleticism that you talked about, Dave, it's just not there. And maybe Beauchamp can change that, but I don't have a ton of confidence that it'll help in the short term, and there aren't a lot of prospects on this roster that could really change things.